Last month, a college student in South Carolina was killed after she got into a car she thought was her Uber. That has some state lawmakers here in North Carolina considering rideshare safety. Earlier today, I talked with State House Majority Leader John Bell about a proposal to make your next Uber or Lyft ride safer. Here's a little bit of that conversation. What's the idea behind this bill?
The idea is unfortunately there was a horrific event that happened a few weeks ago down in South Carolina, which has brought this issue to the forefront, and that's just what people are talking about. You know, if you're out and around town, I was down in Wilmington this past weekend at the Azalea Festival. People are talking about this, and they're concerned, and so there's a public safety outcry about people falsifying information, falsifying themselves, and impersonating rideshare drivers, and it's scary.
It is scary, and when we look back at this, we're talking about this South Carolina, but this is not the only time this is happening.
It doesn't take very long. Anybody can get online and Google, and you're going to find issues. We just did a quick search and started pulling them up from 2015 and on, and it's where you have people imitating rideshare drivers, and you're looking at issues with assault, kidnapping, rape, and unfortunately, in this last case, murder.
So talk to me a little bit about what this bill will actually do.
So we were looking at what was going on in South Carolina, and we saw the bills introduced down there, and looking at how we address this here, because it is a public safety concern, and the public is really engaged in this on what to do. And so there's a lot of ideas out there. What we want to do is we really want to start the conversation here. So what this bill does is requires that these rideshare companies, drivers actually have illuminated signage. That way people can see from a safe distance that it actually is their ride. Now, what it doesn't do, what people need to take upon themselves and take personal responsibility to do, is one, they need to understand the make and model of the car. They need to be sure they know that. Number two, identify the license plate. And number three, the driver says their name, not you asking their name. So that way they're sure and certain that is the driver that they contacted. So this is the first step in how we talk about this and have this discussion here, and luckily we've heard this morning in the press conference we did and talking with some of our campus security folks, because unfortunately our college students are being targeted, and we have a lot of universities here that are already taking a proactive approach, and we want to be part of the conversation on how we address this in North Carolina.
You're a dad, you're a husband. Personally, this is more common. You see rideshares more commonly than you see taxis out on the road, it feels like, these days. How important is it that people start to really think about?
Well, I'll just give a personal example. On Friday, we were down in Wilmington for the Azalea Festival, my wife and I, and we called an Uber, and there was a line of cars over there picking people up. It was raining. I was trying to identify the Uber. It wasn't clearly marked. The driver looked completely different than the picture I had. Luckily, I had called him, and he was walking me. We were having a conversation, and so he knew my name. I went through the safety procedures, but here I am in the middle of the rain, and I'm thinking, doesn't like the car. You know, I see the description. Is it the right car? There's no proper identification there. The driver looks different. A red flag threw up. You know, luckily for I handled myself and my wife. We handled ourselves in a safe manner. But that's what people were talking about. People are actually standing in line talking about this issue, waiting for their rideshares to pick them up.
This is an issue that young folks are going to be paying attention to.
This is an issue that young folks should be paying attention to, but it's an issue that everybody should be paying attention to. You know, we've had conversations not just in our caucus, but also in the Democrat caucus. A lot of these folks here have children and grandchildren. That uses frequently. We have today we had Scott Maitland from Top of the Hill. You know, he wants people to come to his establishment, but he wants them to get home safe. And so our restaurateurs, owners have invested interest in this, because they want their patrons to be safe when they come into their establishment, but also want them to return home safely. So it's an issue that affects not just young people, but it's something I think you'll see a lot of young people pay attention to.